G'day and welcome back to Dirty Deeds. No news yet on any gatherings or any protests that are happening today. I'm assuming and just assuming that maybe they were all decided upon for a later time of day. However, I'm going to share with you from Sky News Australia, Chief Commissioner Shane Patton addressing the public around the protests.
Thanks, Minister. I held a press conference yesterday, so have already spoken about the outcome of yesterday's protests. We did see 62 arrests. It was a protest following on from the day before outside the CFMEU, where we saw violence as well. And we saw, of course, the protest on the weekend, on Saturday, a freedom rally. So we've had significant unrest in Melbourne over the last few days. Look, I certainly understand that people are fatigued. They're tired, they've got grievances and they're frustrated. But now is not the time for protest. The Chief Health Officer is still determined that there are guidelines in place that prohibit mass gatherings, large gatherings and groups of people, and the risk of the spread of the coronavirus is quite real in those gatherings. So we will do everything we can to stop the gatherings in compliance with the Chief Health Officer guidelines. We don't get to pick and choose what are the laws we enforce. I'd simply say this. I would implore, I'd plead, I'd ask, any other word that I can use to say to people who are contemplating coming in here today to protest, do not do so. You're not going to be welcomed with open arms, I can assure you of that. What is going to occur, Victoria Police have planned, we have significant tactics in place, we will be agile in our response, we will be very swift in our response, and conduct, as we've seen yesterday and the previous day, will not be tolerated. I'm not going to step through the amount of police that we're going to have on deck today. I'm not going to talk about what our tactics are. Safe to say that those tactics will be different and we have significant police numbers. I do not want to be giving any context whatsoever to anybody who may be considering coming in here to engage in unlawful activity. Just in regards to what we have seen in the last few days, we've seen groups that do contain people from the construction industry, they do contain tradespeople, but they contain a range of other people. We know from what we've been monitoring that people are being encouraged to put on high-vis gear, to put on workwear, to come in under the cover of a crowd, and not necessarily tradespeople, but people who are tied up with the Freedom Rally, people who are tied up with other issue-motivated groups who seek to hide under the cover of this demonstration. We know that's occurring. So it's a very mixed crowd. It lacks leadership. And what we've seen is it's prepared to be confrontational and violent. As I said, we will take all actions that we can to stop this. I would really ask people not to come in. Now is not the time to protest. And you've seen that we have a range of crowd control equipment that we've already deployed. And I have instructed my police commanders, if that's necessary to use, then they are to use it. We will, of course, factor in the safety of all individuals because that's what we're about, community safety. But the reality is this protest can't be allowed to occur again.
Okay, so there you have it. That was the Chief Commissioner, Shane Patton, remarking on the protests. Look, I don't care if people are going to Kmart and spending $12 on a high-vis top to blend in with the crowd. I think it was inevitable that these people were going to gather at some point. You know, the people that were protesting in the general Freedom Rally on Saturday, and of course the people that have turned up the last couple of days in regards to construction and the union. Oddly enough though, so I don't know what's happening, whether or not people are gathering. I'll keep an eye on it. I'm going to try and plug back in potentially live if I can figure out how to use YouTube properly. I did also want to let you know, however, that we just had an earthquake. So I live in regional Victoria. The earthquake, the epicenter was somewhere near Melbourne. There has been a bit of damage. I thought I just had like a sudden onset of vertigo because it's not something that's ever happened in my lifetime from what I can recall.
A very good morning to you. We begin with some breaking news out
I'm just going to share some footage around the earthquake that happened. I think it happened about 9:20 this morning. If it wasn't for the fact that things were shaking in my house, I probably would not goodness sakes, would not have known what was going on.
Has been an earthquake in the city just moments ago. 10 News First Emma O'Sullivan joins us now from the Melbourne newsroom. Emma, what happened?
Good morning. Well, I was getting ready to speak to you about 15 minutes ago, immediately after the earthquake happened in Melbourne, but then our newsroom was evacuated. So that's why I'm speaking to you outside. We haven't had an earthquake like that in living.
Apologies for the advertisement that's on the bottom of the screen.
The last time we had an earthquake that would have been felt in the centre of Melbourne was 9 years ago, 2012 in June, and that was 4.9 on the Richter scale. We're hearing this one, I've seen 5.1 and also 6 on the Richter scale, so we're still waiting for the official word, but it was felt all around Melbourne and in country towns. We've had people on the border saying that they really felt it in the street right up on the New South Wales-Victorian border, and we can't believe it. What else will 2021 bring? Everyone is texting on their phones, and the question they're asking is, did you feel the earth move? Well, all of Melbourne certainly did. The epicentre was 115 kilometres northeast of the city.
Emma, I'm glad you are safe as well as the team.
Okay, so there you have it. We've had an earthquake. Now, of course, there will be conspiracy theorists out there, and I'll admit it entered my mind. You know, was this used to dissuade protests today? Is it the blowing up of underground tunnels where they're smuggling children? Who knows? But however, there you have it. Victoria's also had an earthquake this morning at about 9:20 in the morning. I will keep abreast of what's going on. I'm hoping that there will be more protests today. Look, I fully understand where the police are coming from, but these people have every right to protest peacefully. I think it's about time that we start standing up for our rights. I worry a lot. Like I said, I'm in regional Victoria. I can't really gather in a crowd. It's kind of difficult and stigmatised to have a different point of view than the majority, but I'm starting to feel like maybe people that share my point of view might actually be the majority. It's just common sense, people. Anyway, here we are, Victoria. It's 22:11 on a Wednesday, the 22nd of September, 2021.